All right, so let's jump right in. For this deep dive, we're unpacking a really specific piece of hardware. It's all about solving a super common AV problem. HDMI cables just don't go far enough. We're looking at the NTI ST-IPHD-LC-V4EU HDMI over IP network extender. It's a next-gen model designed to, well, push video over a regular gigabit network.
Right. And our mission here is to really get into the specifics of what makes this thing different. We're moving beyond those thick, expensive HDMI cables and using what's already in the walls, cheap Cat-teeth cables. This little box basically turns your network into a high-def video pipeline.
And at its core, the function seems pretty straightforward. It multicasts digital video and audio. So one source can feed a whole bunch of screens, right? It supports up to 1080p, which seems perfect for things like digital signs.
Exactly. Digital signage is the ideal use case.
Okay, so let's talk about the range, because that seems to be the main selling point. The specs say up to 394 feet. That's 120 meters with modern Cat-T6 or Cat-7 cable.
It is, yeah. And even with older CATV, you're still getting 328 feet, so 100 meters. It's impressive.
And it does all this while sipping power, right? The remote unit is, what, less than 2 watts?
It's incredibly low, 1.85 watts. You'd barely notice it on the power bill.
So how does it pull that off? Maintaining quality over that distance must involve some kind of trick.
Well, it's not so much a trick as it is just smart technology. It uses H.264 compression.
Ah, okay, the same codec used for, like, streaming services.
The very same. It's super efficient. But the really crucial part for real-time video is the latency. They've kept the encoding delay under 100 milliseconds.
Which is key, I imagine, for keeping everything in sync across multiple displays.
It's essential. Anything more, and you'd see a noticeable lag.
So for a simple setup, say one source to one screen, they call it plug and play.
It is. For a simple point-to-point or even one source to many screens, the receivers just find the transmitter automatically as long as they're on the same subnet.
But I'm sensing a but coming.
There's a huge but. And this is where it gets really interesting and, where people can get into trouble. If you use a simple unmanaged switch for that point-to-many setup.
Which is what most people would do to save money.
Exactly. The source material is very clear. That system must be on a dedicated standalone network.
Hold on. So you're telling me if I just plug this into my normal office network?
You could absolutely tank your entire network.
Yeah.
Yes, it would create a broadcast storm and grind everything to a halt.
Wow. Okay, so it needs isolation.
It needs total isolation. Now, what if you need more than one video source?
Like, say, a news feed going to one set of screens and an ad reel going to another.
Precisely. The moment you introduce a second transmitter, that cheap unmanaged switch is useless. You immediately have to step up to a managed network switch.
And not just any managed switch. It needs to support something specific, right?
Correct. It needs to support port-based IE 802.1Q VLANs.
Okay, let's break that down. What does a VLAN do in this situation?
Think of it like creating dedicated lanes on a highway. Each VLAN acts as a completely separate private channel for your HDMI signal. It makes sure transmitter A's signal only ever goes to its assigned screens and never interferes with transmitter B.
I see. So it prevents the signals from crossing over and creating chaos.
It's the only way to manage multiple sources. It adds complexity, for sure, but it's what makes the system scalable.
So the big takeaway here is pretty clear then. The flexibility is amazing, but it comes with some serious network trade-offs. And the complexity isn't really about the distance, it's all about how many sources you have.
That's the bottom line. One source is simple if isolated. Multiple sources requires real network management.
Which brings us back to the core idea.
Yep. Leveraging that cheap existing Cat-X cable to send high-def video over really long distances, it absolutely solves that problem.
So what this really means for you, the person planning a system, is that this device can scale massively. But the jump from a single source setup to a multi-source one is huge. It's the difference between a cheap, isolated network and a much more complex managed VLAN system.
Which, it leaves you with a really important question, doesn't it?
Yeah, what's that?
When you're designing one of these big AV systems, is the money you save by not using long HDMI cables worth the extra cost and, the headache of implementing and maintaining VLANs on your network?
Right. Is that trade-off actually worth it in the end? That's definitely something to mull over.